Strategic Homeland Division, Personal Field Log. Agent Samuel Gator Crook. SHD status activated. Location C-123. Military transport en route to New York. Date January 18th. Time 08:35 hours. Soon as I stepped into that C-123 transport, the smell hit me. Jet fuel, cold metal, canvas seats bolted along the fuselage. Every military aircraft smells the same. It doesn't matter if it's a cargo hauler or a gunship, that scent sticks with you for life. I slung my go bag under the bench and took a seat along the side of the cargo bay while the load crew finished strapping down supply crates. A couple soldiers glanced my way, but most of their eyes went straight to the orange watch in my wrist. That glowing ring might as well have been a neon sign. Nobody asked questions, though. Military folks know better. The woman agent climbed aboard a minute later. Ramp closed behind her with a heavy metal thud, and the engines spooled up louder, vibrating through the hull. She took the seat across from me like she'd done it 1,000 times before. I pulled the medical mask she gave me over my face and leaned forward a little. "New York that bad?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "Worse than the reports." That answer hung there between us while the aircraft started rolling toward the runway. Didn't exactly fill me with confidence. The engines roared and the transport lifted off the ground, Arkansas farmland shrinking away beneath the clouds. I watched out the small round window as the fields disappeared under us. Funny thing about leaving home, you never really know if you'll see it again. Once we leveled out, the cargo bay settled into a steady mechanical rumble. That kind of sound gets into your bones after a while. Good noise for thinking. Which unfortunately meant my mind started running through everything waiting for us up north. The virus. The quarantine. Entire cities falling apart. And somehow the government decided the solution was handing watches to civilians and calling us division agents. I leaned my head back against the cold metal wall and looked over at the woman sitting across from me. "Mind if I ask a question?" She shrugged slightly. "Depends on the question." I tapped the watch on my wrist. This thing recognized me the second I picked it up, like it already knew who I was. "It did," she said. That was the whole answer. Short. Clean. Government style. I couldn't help but chuckle under my breath. Figures. After a few minutes, I spoke again. "So what do I call you?" She studied me for a second, like she was deciding how much information I was worth. "Agent Ramirez." "Crook," I said with a nod. "Though most folks call me Gator." One eyebrow lifted. "Gator?" "Arkansas nickname," I said. "Comes from spending half my childhood in swamps and creeks." That actually got a faint smile out of her. First bit of personality I'd seen since we met. The plane rattled through a patch of turbulence and shook the cargo bay hard enough to remind me this aircraft had probably been flying since before I was born. I stretched my legs out. "So how long we flying?" Ramirez glanced at her watch. "Couple hours yet." "Good." She tilted her head slightly. "Good. Means I can get some sleep before whatever mess we're headed into." She studied me again. "You don't seem very surprised about all this." I shrugged. When you've seen enough weird things working for the military, the world ending just feels like another briefing. She nodded slowly. Fair point. After that conversation, the cabin settled into quiet. Most of the soldiers leaned back against crates or closed their eyes. Long flights have a way of turning everyone silent. Not much to do, except think. And thinking is dangerous when you're flying toward a city that might already be dead. My mind kept drifting back to Aunt Maggie. Her voice on that phone call before Christmas. How she tried to sound calm, but I could hear the worry in it. Every time the engine shifted pitch, I caught myself wondering if I'd make it there in time, or if this whole trip was already too late. Eventually, Ramirez pulled a small blanket from her pack and leaned her head back against the wall. "Get some rest, Agent Crook," she said. "You'll want it before we land." She didn't have to tell me twice. I slid my go bag under my head like a pillow and stretched out along the bench. The engines droned steady overhead, metal frame creaking every now and then as we pushed through winter clouds. Funny thing about transport planes. Eventually that noise stops bothering you. Turns into something almost peaceful. Last thing I remember before drifting off was the faint orange glow of the SHD watch on my wrist pulsing in the dim cargo bay. Like it already knew the storm we were flying into. End log. Time: 11:35 hours.